In our traditional Christmas baking in Ireland, we have a lot of fruit and zest and citrus and a lot of booze. Pretty much all our holiday baking is fruit and a lot of alcohol. This week we are making my Aunty Rosaleen's Christmas cake all the way from Ireland. This is a fantastic traditional recipe for Christmas. So we're going to start out by soaking all of our fruit in a lot of booze. I have a nice big bowl here and we're going to add in a lot of lovely plump raisins. Please use good quality fruit when making your Christmas cakes because it makes all the difference. These are organic and really yummy. Now, here I have some candied peel. This is a very common ingredient in Ireland and England when you're baking for the holidays. And I actually have recipes on how you can do candied lemon zest, candied peel, and candied cherries on my website. So definitely check that out on biggerbolderbaking.com. That's everything in there. Now we're going to zest an orange and the zest of a lemon. In our traditional Christmas baking in Ireland, we have a lot of fruit and zest and citrus and a lot of booze. So Aunty Rosaleen is my mum's sister. She comes from Waterford, Ireland, and she is a fantastic baker. And many years ago, she gave me this recipe for her Christmas cake, and we had it up on the website, and it's really, really popular, especially with people in America, and I couldn't understand why, and it was because a lot of people had Irish mums, Irish grannies, Irish parents who would make these kinds of cakes for them for Christmas, and they wanted to have the exact same thing and to recreate themselves. So they used my recipe, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, now let's talk whiskey. I am very proud to say that O'Driscoll's Irish whiskey is actually my family's business, founded by my cousin Michael Stafford in my hometown of Wexford, Ireland. Michael actually carried on the business from our grandfather James Stafford, but also our fathers, my father George and his father Michael. So my family have been in the spirits and alcohol business for a very long time, and I'm very proud to say that this is a part of the family. So this is an awesome whiskey. So we are going to add this into our fruit. This whiskey is a blend of golden grains and malted barley, triple distilled and aged in bourbon casks for a minimum of 3 years, giving the signature smoothness of Irish whiskey. The O'Driscoll clan were actually pirates and smugglers who used to patrol the wild Atlantic coast. For more information about the O'Driscolls and where you can order this internationally, go to o'driscollsirishwhiskey.com. Now let's give this a mix, cover it up and let it soak. So let's talk cherries. These are glace cherries, very traditional in a Christmas cake. I have a recipe on my website of how you can actually do this yourself at home if you can't buy them. But the first thing you want to do is just rinse them off in water and get rid of that thick sugary syrup off them. Then we're going to quarter them and then we toss them in a little bit of flour. Now the reason that we do this, and we do this a lot with fruit cakes, is because tossing them in flour actually kind of holds them in place in the cake. If the batter is kind of thin, the fruit tends to sink to the bottom, but if you coat it in flour, they don't sink. It's a super great baker's trick. Okay, next let's just mix together our dry ingredients. I have all-purpose flour here, and then here I have a little bit of ground nutmeg and mixed spice. We use this a lot in baking in Ireland, especially around the holidays. I have a recipe on my website. If you can't buy this in your country, you can make it with cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, coriander, a mix of spices. You can also, if you want, use pumpkin pie spice. It is very similar. So make your own or whatever you want to do. And if you can't, just replace it with cinnamon and that's good too. But all these like kind of different spices kind of add a depth of flavor to your cake, and then paired with the whiskey and the brown sugar and all the yumminess. It's a whole thing. Okay, I bought my big boy in here for this next part. Here I have some room temperature butter. In you go with the whisk attachment, Irish butter if you can. And then we're going to go in with our brown sugar. Now this looks a bit different. You can probably tell this is muscovado sugar. We use this a lot at home. Muscovado sugar is an unrefined cane sugar that actually has natural molasses in it, and it is fantastic for your holiday baking. It gives you such a lovely caramel kind of a flavor. If you can't find this in your country, you can order it online, or you can use dark brown sugar. Now just turn on your mixer and cream it together until it's lovely and light and fluffy. Take a minute or two. So I let this go for around 6 or 7 minutes on high speed, and it's looking really fluffy. So this is the perfect time to start to add in our eggs. Add in one, let it incorporate, then add in the other. Okay, my eggs are in there on a lower speed. I'm just going to go ahead, add in my dry ingredients. And just mix that up until it just comes together, then turn off the machine. I like to put this mix into my fruit because all of the booze and the flavor and the citrus and all the yummy stuff is in the bowl. So I just go back in there. It smells almost like caramel. It's really lovely. Into this, we're going to add in our cherries. So in you go. And last but not least, some slivered almonds, or you can use chopped almonds, that's up to you. Put those in there. Now, this is the special part. We're going to mix it all together. Now, it is not a coincidence that I am using a Mason and Cash bowl in this video. I do all my Christmas baking in a Mason and Cash bowl because that's what my mum did when we were very young. And some of my fondest memories are standing at the kitchen table in the house that I grew up in Wexford, Ireland, and mixing the Christmas cake. All the kids, at night, my mum would call us into the kitchen when she was making the Christmas puddings and the cakes and everything. And all the kids would get to do a stir and make a wish in the Mason and Cash bowl. Okie dokie, here I have a nice big, good quality, heavy tin. It's around 10.5 inches or so. You want a nice big tin. I'm gonna put all my batter in here. This is a big cake and it's a heavy cake. It's going to bake for a long time. So just make sure your pan is good quality. Okay, lovely. This is ready to go into the oven, so follow me over here. So bake your cake in a low oven, 280 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 140 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. Then turn down your oven to 240 degrees Fahrenheit and 120 degrees Celsius for another 2 to 2.5 hours or so. It does take some time to cook this cake. Check on it every half hour. Here we have our lovely Christmas cake. Oh my gosh, these smells remind me so much of home. So here's what you want to do when it comes out of the oven. Number one, as you can see, it is nicely baked. It's firm underneath my fingers. This is lovely. If you feel like it's getting too brown at any stage during the baking, cover it with foil. Now, while it's still hot from the oven, this is really important. We're going to do our first feed. Now, stay with me. I'm going to show you how to do this. Take a skewer, poke holes in the top of your cake. Then we're going to take our whiskey and drizzle over 2 tablespoons over the hot cake. Just drizzle a little bit all over the top. And because the cake is warm, that's going to soak in so much better. So now what I want to do is leave this in the tin, let it cool down completely, then we're going to wrap it. Once your cake is completely cold, wrap it in foil and parchment paper. You want to wrap it up nice and tight. Then we're going to store it in a cupboard for at least 3 months. And don't worry, all that alcohol and sugar in the cake will keep it preserved and it will only develop better flavor over time. Okay, let's talk feeding your Christmas cake. It's in the cupboard now. Leave it there for 2 weeks, then take it out, uncover it, and we're going to feed it again with 2 tablespoons of more alcohol. You can use brandy, rum, whiskey, whatever you like. Pour it over, wrap it back up, back into the cupboard again. 2 weeks later, repeat the process. Again, 2 tablespoons of whiskey, wrap it back up into a cupboard. 2 weeks later, again feed it. All in all, we'll be feeding it 4 times in total. When the holiday season begins, it's time to bring out your Christmas cake. Just look at how beautiful this is. Cut yourself some really lovely thick slices. When you do, you'll just see how rich and moist this cake is. Lots of people have Christmas cake as is. However, I love to put some butter on top. It just makes it extra special. This Christmas cake is the only one you're ever going to need, so make sure you save the recipe and stick around because I've got lots more fall and holiday videos for you to check out. I'll see you back here again next week.